Hello and welcome. In this video, we are going to dive deep into a crucial concept in statistics, the power of a hypothesis test. Specifically, we will understand what it means to reject a false null hypothesis, what beta is, and how we measure our ability to detect a real effect. First, let's quickly refresh our memory on the two main characters of hypothesis testing. We have the null hypothesis, H0, which represents the status quo or the assumption of no effect. Then, we have the alternative hypothesis, H1, which is the claim we are trying to provide evidence for that there is an effect or a difference. When we make a decision, four things can happen. If the null is true and we keep it, we are correct. If the null is true but we reject it, we make a type 1 error or alpha. But today, we care about the right column. If the null is false, meaning there is a real effect, and we fail to detect it, we make a type 2 error. However, if we correctly reject that false null, that is called power. Let's zoom in on that error. We call it beta. Beta is the probability of making a type 2 error. Simply put, it is a false negative. It is the tragedy of missing out on a discovery. The drug worked, but your test said it didn't. That is beta. So, what is power? Power is simply 1 minus beta. It is the complement of that error. Power represents the probability that you will correctly reject the null hypothesis when it is indeed false. In plain English, it is your test's ability to detect an effect if that effect actually exists. Let's look at this visually. Here we have two distributions. The gray curve is the null hypothesis. The green curve is the alternative. The yellow area represents beta, the risk of missing the effect. The green area represents power. Notice that power starts at the critical value and covers the rest of the alternative distribution. What changes this power? First, effect size. If the real effect is huge, the two curves are far apart. It is very easy to tell them distinct. Large effect sizes lead to high power. Small effect sizes result in the curves overlapping significantly, making it hard to detect the difference, resulting in low power. Second is sample size, or N. When we gather more data, our distributions become narrower and taller because the standard error decreases. Narrow curves overlap less. This makes it much easier to distinguish between the null and the alternative, significantly increasing our power. Third is our significance level alpha. If we are willing to accept a higher risk of a type 1 error, say, moving from 0.05 to 0.1, we move our critical line to the left. This naturally uncovers more of the green area. So, increasing alpha increases power, but at the cost of more false alarms. Why do we care? Efficiency and ethics. If you run a study with low power, say 20%, you are basically flipping a coin that is weighted against you. You might spend millions on a clinical trial that was doomed to fail finding the cure, even if the cure worked. That is a waste of resources and ethically problematic for patients. To summarize, power is 1 minus beta. It is the probability of finding what you are looking for. We generally want power to be at least 0.8 or 80%. Remember, you can boost power by increasing your sample size, looking for larger effects, or adjusting your alpha level. Always calculate this before you start your experiment.
If you like this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Visit codelucky.com for more such useful content.